you were at Allegiant Stadium, seeing it, feeling it, and the Chiefs are back-to-back Super Bowl champions, Frank. Like, this game was kind of like Brock Purdy's entire playoff run. There were moments where it just looked pitiful, and then all of a sudden it was a delight, right? Like, it was a close game at the end, which we make an all-time game, but for only the second time ever, we have overtime in a Super Bowl, and there was just this sense. You tell me if you felt it in the stadium, but those of us sitting in this beautiful suite watching it kept saying, man, Mahomes is going to find a way. And as we walked through that game, it's exactly what happened.
How many times did you hear this week, just talking to people, whether it was people in the business, people just out about that just said, I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes. He's going to find a way to win it. And then exactly when I'll tell you something, being in the stadium, I noticed this, that when Brock Purdy threw incomplete on third down in overtime, this 49ers field goal unit took a couple steps out and it kind of paused. It wasn't like field goal. I wonder, and obviously we'll find out maybe from Kyle Shanahan, what he's talking right now at Allegiant Stadium. Did he think about going for it there? Because there was just this moment of indecision from the 49ers, because it almost was like, maybe this isn't me projecting, the wheels turning of, if we kick a field goal, game's over. And not because we won, because Patrick Mahomes just going to come down and beat us. That's who he is right now. He is that good that you just get this sense that any situation, he's going to find a way to win. And as you alluded to, if they didn't lose this year, if they still won a Super Bowl this year with all the issues they had, all the roster doubts they had, this was not a great Chiefs team by any means. Still win a Super Bowl? It's not going to get easier for the rest of the NFL trying to beat this guy.
I kept feeling like, and I said this on one of a quick video we put up on Yahoo Sports, I felt like this game was a microcosm of the entire season for the Chiefs. Like, they shouldn't have been in it. As you watched it, the 49ers in the first half were clearly a better team. And you looked at it and you're like, yeah, but this thing is still 10-3. I can't believe I'm saying that at the half. It was almost 10-0. They get a field goal at the very end of the first half, makes it 10-3. And I just kept looking at it saying, man, I know it's cliche, but you're leaving him in the game. Like, there's a point where you're leaving the best player in the world. And at this point, by credentials, already one of the best NFL players of all time. He becomes a 3-time MVP of the Super Bowl, joining only Tom Brady and Joe Montana to have ever accomplished that. He's the quarterback of back-to-back champion team. You're leaving him in this game. And it was maddening to me, because we really watched a defensive struggle. We watched two teams play beautiful defense for 3 quarters. But as this game continued to wear on, you could feel the 49ers defense wear down. And all of a sudden you're thinking, man, the best player in the world is going to be able to take advantage of a gas defense as this game goes on.
And they have Drake Greenlaw go down, one of their best players, with a freak injury, a weird torn Achilles there for him. And like you said, just everything that needed to break. Look, they won the game. Great. Not taking anything away, but they had some breaks in this game. Christian McCaffrey, who has lost 4 fumbles in his regular season career on 1,800 touches, loses a fumble on the first drive. Like, that doesn't happen very often. A punt bounces off a 49ers player's foot. Like, how often is that? You can't script that kind of stuff. They get that fumble. They're the extra point blocked. You don't see that ever happen. They did it, and good for them, but every break they needed to stay in this game, they got it. Like you said, I thought, okay, the 49ers are out playing them. I'm riding up there. And I'm like, I just flashed back to last year's Super Bowl. I was like, I wrote this exact same halftime story last year.
I'm like, pull this up, swing it over. There we go.
I'm like, oh my God, the Eagles are dominating them. They're down 24-14. This is the same. It was lower scoring, but the same thing where you're like, yeah, the one team is outplayed the other, but then in the second half, it just flips because Patrick Mahomes just gets on a roll and gets hot.
I know I've said this stat 100 times. I will remind everybody that in his entire career, playoffs and regular season combined, Patrick Mahomes has lost a total of 4 games by more than 8 points. 4 in his entire career. So the reason I thought the Chiefs would win this game is because he never gets blown out. And now you're telling me I got to bet against Patrick Mahomes in a close Super Bowl. As the game wore on, I just kept feeling that same way. Like, the Chiefs have figured out somehow, some way, how to get proximity. Like, they're just going to keep things close enough in the game that it leaves Mahomes a chance. And I want to give Mecole Hardman a little bit of credit here too, because he gets the game-winning touchdown catch on a beautiful little design, leaves him wide open. But man, the wide receiver group has been much maligned for the Chiefs this year. And then when they needed it, he's the one that came up with the play.
MVS too. Yep. Talked about it on Thursday. I called out MVS. He scores a touchdown. One very quick story, because I don't want to forget to tell this. So I'm sitting there next to Charles McDonald, our good colleague, good friend, And he's a
He
huge...
got into the game also. Again, noting, it sounds like a big old Yahoo party at the game, minus me. Okay, go ahead.
Obviously, he's a huge Atlanta Falcons fan, right? And I have a million things going through my mind, and sometimes you just need a sanity check on things. And I'm like, wait, has there ever been an overtime Super Bowl? He just glared at me, and I'm like, why won't you answer the question? He's like, yeah, there's been one. I'm like, oh, the Falcons 28-3. I unintentionally trolled him, but yes, it was kind of awesome to see an overtime Super Bowl again. Like you want, like, you script the NFL script writers, right? You're like, let's give an overtime Super Bowl. Let's give Patrick Mahomes down 3, one shot to go in the game, going all the way down. A 4th down he has to convert. A couple other big 3rd downs he converted. Like, this was a drive for the ages for Patrick Mahomes, and like you kind of alluded to, like, that game wasn't good for 3 quarters. It was fine. I was getting a lot of texts from fans who maybe watch one game a year, and they're like, wow, this game is boring. And I'm like, oh, that's what the people think. I'm fine with it. And then it just turned into a classic. Like, we're going to remember this as the great, back and forth in the 4th quarter and overtime, leads being changed, and then obviously the great Mahomes drive at the end.